Well, good morning. My name is Michael Murphy. I'm a member of the Milwaukee Common Council and I represent the 10th District in the City of Milwaukee. Very honored and very privileged to represent this part of our City of Milwaukee, but I'm very honored to be here this morning with you to have our wonderful Irish delegation here. We have a special relationship, obviously, with Ireland. The United States has. I was in Ireland just a few weeks ago, and I was struck by a number of things. Certainly, the beauty of the country, the warmth of the people, the culture, the history, and heritage. And I have a special place for Ireland, as my parents were immigrants to the United States in 1960, and I'm the first of my brothers to be born here in the United States. And I was struck by many things, is that when you think about America, a country of 300 million people, over 33 million of them derive their Irish ancestry from Ireland, where that's over nearly 10% of our population, which is a remarkable number when you think of a small country which only has 6.5 million people. And the influence that Ireland has had on America has been immense. And we are very lucky for the contributions Irish Americans have made to our country. But before we begin, I think it would be very appropriate if Bishop Noel Traynor, if he would be kind enough to come up and do a benediction. Bishop?
Thank you, Alderman Murphy and Mayor Barrett, members of the panel here and public representatives from the island of Ireland, the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, and fellow guests and participants at the IrishFest here in Milwaukee. It's an honor to be with you, and I'm most grateful for the invitation to come and experience this for the first time, and in fact be in the Midwest of the United States for the first time. So mindful of Alderman Murphy's words, the experience you have had of Ireland, the warmth that you've experienced there, and the warmth that we experience when we come in the footsteps, Minister, of our former emigrants from various centuries to this new world. Let's be silent for a moment as we invoke the blessing of God on this fest, this Irish Fest, and on the days ahead. God, Heavenly Father of all mankind, as we gather for this Irish Fest in this year 2016 in the United States of America and in this city of Milwaukee and in this historic building here, we invoke your blessing upon the Irish Fest 2016, upon all of us gathered here today, this morning. We remember those who initiated this great venture, this coming together of Irish culture in its diverse identities with the culture of the New World. As this festival celebrates the growth, development, and evolution of Irish culture and identity in its myriad forms, both in Ireland, in this new world, and throughout the world. May these days ahead be moments of appreciation and gratefulness for Irishness, for Irish culture, for the Scots-Irish identity in Northern Ireland. May the encounters which we experience enrich our appreciation of our identities. May it strengthen us in our contribution to the world of today, so that we may be heralds and harbingers of peace and justice for all humankind. We pray that these days will be days of peace, days of serenity, and days where we garner energy to continue humanizing our world. We make our prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you, and enjoy the fest.
Well, thank you, Bishop, and we're very honored to have you here in Milwaukee, and we look forward to Sunday's Mass, and I understand the weather's going to be perfect, so that's good. IrishFest, since 1981, has played an integral role in our community in bringing culture in Ireland, not only to Milwaukee, but certainly growing the cultural heritage in Ireland itself. And I want to recognize a few people that are here from IrishFest this morning. Specifically, I want to recognize Patrick Boyle, who's the Executive Director, Linda Patrick. Our president of IrishFest, Linda Clark-Plevelitz. Linda, nice to see you. And our past president, Colleen Kennedy, who has been a long-time member. I'm pleased to make the next introduction when I was speaking of the Irish contributions to our country, and that's gentleman to my left, your right, and that is Mayor Tom Barrett. Mayor Barrett has served in the state legislature both as an assemblyman and a state senator. He subsequently then ran for the United States Congress and served in the United States Congress for over 12 years. And since then, he has been elected to the City of Milwaukee mayor. This is your fourth term, if I stand corrected. And he's done a great job of representing our city under very challenging times, as you know, in the last week. But we're very lucky to have him here this morning. I know how important he feels IrishFest has been to our communities. As you may have heard last evening, he's one of the longest volunteers at IrishFest for over 30 years, and he never gives me a free beer, so he's always thinking of IrishFest and their financial numbers. So with that, let me introduce you our Mayor, Tom Barrett.
Thank you, Michael. Good morning. It's great to see you all this morning again. I saw many of you, had a chance to meet many of you and see many of you last night. It's great to see all of you here. Bishop, thank you for being here this morning as well. I want to return the compliment to Michael. Michael is our official ambassador to Ireland and has done a great job as a member of the Common Council here. And we really appreciate his leadership on many, many issues. I apologize for not wearing a suit. I feel a little out of place, but I am tending bar and I had a choice. I could either wear a suit tending bar and not have anybody buy beer for me because I'd be wearing a suit tending bar, or I could dress like this and ask for your forgiveness. So I always figure it's easier to ask for forgiveness. So please forgive me for being informal. But this is an exciting weekend here in Milwaukee. And Michael talked about the fact that over 10% of our population as a nation is of Irish descent. This weekend in Milwaukee, if you are on the IrishFest grounds, you will get the impression that about 80% of our community is of Irish descent, because many of those who are there who are not of Irish descent will claim it this weekend. I guarantee you'll see that you'll have more people. The number of converts is amazing this weekend. But as you see, and Bishop, you haven't been here before, it is a wonderful festival. The music is great. There's just a tremendous amount of camaraderie, and it's just a great gathering place. And so for our community, it's really a celebration, and it's in line with other celebrations that we have. And you may or may not be aware of this. We have other ethnic celebrations during the course of the summer. This is one of the largest, if not the largest, although Italian Fest is Festa Italiana is pretty large as well. But it's a way for us to celebrate our diversity. And at a time when in the world, in a time in Europe, in a time in the United States, where much of our politics is driven by division, this to me is multiplication. And what I mean by that is what we are trying to do with our ethnic festivals is not find ways to divide ourselves, but we're trying to find ways to bring our community together. And to me, that's what's very, very important. And again, it's a party, but there's really something serious underlying it. And that is, regardless of where our roots are, we're all one people. And we have more in common than what separates us. So again, I want to thank you all for being here. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I've been there when the weather's been perfect. I've been there when there have been hail winds that have been unbelievable. But regardless of what it is, it's amazing when you're serving beer how well people can adapt. So again, thank you very much for being here, and have a great weekend. I'm going to ask to be excused because I've got some other things I have to get to right away. So again, thank you very much for being here, and I'll see you at the bar. Bye-bye. Thank you.
We are also joined by one of my colleagues, Alderman Jim Bull. And Jim, why don't you come up and sit down? Jim is also of Irish ancestry, and we're happy to have him here also. My next speaker is a very impressive young man. Sean Kane is the Minister of State of Gaeltacht Affairs and Natural Resources in Ireland. Sean is really originally from Ballycullen County, Galway, and I was very excited to hear that Galway was just selected as the European Capital of Culture for 2020, which is a great honor for the City and County of Galway. In addition to his role as Minister of State of Gaeltacht Affairs and Natural Resources, he serves as a member of the Lower Parliament and Irish Legislature representing the City of Connemara and its surrounding areas. And for 11 years, he works as an agri-environmental consultant with particular responsibility for the Rural Environmental Protection Scheme. He served as a member of the Galway County Council for the Connemara electoral area and prior to his election into the legislature. Very honored to have him here in Milwaukee. Mr. King.
Gormagat, Alderman, agus smór an honor dumsa bheith seo, ag an ócáid speisialta seo, agus Gormagat as ochtam cura, agus tá anáthas orm bheith seo sa ferrugnamh all seo. I'm delighted to be here in this, I have to say, beautiful chamber, Alderman. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Mayor, other Aldermans, Bishop Traynor, my colleagues from Galway, Deputy O'Queeve, Senator Lawless, Jim Shannon from Northern Ireland, and Mayor of Galway City, Noel Larkin, Jerry Coyle representing Mayo, and a number of other officials, part of the Spirit of Galway event. So I'm delighted to be here on this, the 100th year celebrating the Irish 1916 Rising, and there's a lovely exhibition downstairs that I believe will be moving to the festival grounds later on. So it's an important year in that regard, and I would like to acknowledge that. I've heard a lot about the Milwaukee Irish Festival for a number of years. I didn't get a chance to go when I was on the County Council, but I have to say I never imagined the size and the scale of the festival grounds. Colleen brought us around on the golf cart, which is really the only way to travel on the festival grounds last night, and it's absolutely huge, and you know, all the different things that are going on. It's hard to imagine. It's even hard to explain them to people. We stayed in Milwaukee last night. We had a quick run around with Colleen, which was bringing us here, there, and everywhere. And wonderful city. If I have one complaint, unfortunately, and I just have to say this, it's the rain this morning. I mean, we're from Ireland. We're not used to such rain, and the Galway delegation didn't bring a good raincoat between them, unfortunately, but thankfully we've been shuttled around, so there's no problem at all. And as the Mayor said, I'm sure rain, hail or snow, we'll enjoy ourselves in the IrishFest. I'm very pleased to welcome the Mayor of Galway City, Mayor Larkin, because obviously Milwaukee and Galway City are twinned together, and it's a very successful and one of the most successful twinning relationships. It's also an honour to be here with Jim Shannon and all the people who were involved from the Northern Irish delegation as well, councillors and aldermen who are here. And I know that the government, my department, particularly Minister for Arts, Heritage and the Gaeltacht, Heather Humphreys, has worked closely with Northern Ireland politicians regarding the Somme Memorial and the commemorations of the Battle of the Somme and all those Irish people and English people who lost their lives on that battle. And also, of course, Senator Billy Lawless, who I welcomed last night, and from Chicago and Galway, who's done so much for the diaspora and Irish immigration abroad. The IrishFest is a wonderful opportunity to promote the culture of Ireland, and the Mayor acknowledged so many people will claim Irish heritage on this weekend. I'm reminded from our history, and Eamon is better at history than I am, but where was it, Eamon, that they used to say that during the time of the plantations that people, the English that came over and married with the Irish people, and they say became more Irish than the Irish themselves. So there's perhaps a bit of that here too in Milwaukee and the Midwest, and it's great to see a festival celebrating Irish culture, Irish heritage, the Irish language, and I'm delighted to be here, looking forward to the festivities, and I'd like to thank the Alderman and the Common Council, the members of the Common Council, for the courtesy here this morning to welcome us to this beautiful, beautiful building, and as I say, to look forward to welcoming them, some of them again, back home to their Irish roots, and as part of the twinning and as part of the ceremonies with the twinning of Galway, and as I said, look forward to the rest of the week ahead. Gur míle míle magadh.
It is a very important year for Ireland. As Sean mentioned, this is the Easter Rising anniversary of 108 years, which has been Something that has bin very close to our next speaker, whose grandfather played an integral role in the Easter Rising uprising, and that's Eamon O'Queeve. I've had the pleasure of knowing Eamon for many years. He's been gone for a few. Last time I believe he was here was 2011. But he's a very welcome friend in Milwaukee. He's made great impression to all the citizens of Milwaukee. He was first elected to the lower parliament in 1992 after serving in the Irish Senate. He has held a number of ministerial positions in this time, including Minister of the State, the Department of Arts and Heritage in Gaeltacht and the Islands, and Minister for Community, Rural and Gaeltacht Affairs, Minister for Social Protection, and Minister for Defense. Before getting into politics, he was the manager of the Gaeltacht Operative, a community involved in agricultural services, including timber milling, tourism, and cultural development. A short story I shared with Eamon was when my parents were still alive, and we started the twinning back in 2002, so it's our 14th year. Eamon was here, my mom and dad came up to him, and they were looking at him, and they go, "You're the splitting image of your grandfather." They had a great discussion and talk. And so we're very pleased to have Eamon back. Eamon.
Alderman Murphy, Alderman, Minister, of course, Senator, Jim Shannon, MP, Mayor of Galway, Noel Larkin, and every other dignitary that's in the House. There are plenty of councillors and other dignitaries, our Consul General, and particularly Bishop, and all the people here from Milwaukee. It's great to be back again, I have to say. I think I was counting 11 years in the trot. I came back in 2011, and I haven't been here since. But it's great to be back again in the new guise. I got a contact from Colleen when I come over and participate in the summer school. Now, I used to visit the summer school, Sean, you did it the other day as minister. I used to visit as minister, but this time I actually was given a few of the talks, and it's been a very, very enriching experience. Now, a lot of mention has been made about 1916. And we have a very interesting exhibition that we have down at the head school that I also showed during the week. And why it's interesting is this. It was a collection made in scrapbooks by the British officer that took the surrender from our grandfather in 1916. And the beginning of the scrapbook is when he gives back the binoculars to Neville Chamberlain to my grandfather, Eamon de Valera, in 1938. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the whole story. And the saga continues. He comes back to Ireland at the invitation of the 3rd Battalion Old IRA to their dinner in 1948 with his wife and daughter. He comes back again in 1966 to be part of the 50th. And in the meantime, he collected 5 scrapbooks of newspaper cuttings and correspondence. And I suppose the correspondence is the most interesting part between him and the people who had been his adversaries back in 1916, and the huge sense of togetherness and reconciliation and respect that's in that. So we have that down at the head school. I'll be talking about that today and tomorrow. But I do think it's an unusual story. It's one that maybe people wouldn't expect coming out of 1916, but I think it's one that's been very much in tune with the type of commemoration we have had in Ireland this year, which has been very respectful, but which certainly has reached every community within the country. So it's a great pleasure to be back here. It was a great excuse to come back anyway, I have to say that. And I don't need too many excuses to come back to Milwaukee. It is a fantastic festival. It's a fantastic summer school. But I also admire the work done by the foundation throughout the year. Because what Milwaukee has done in keeping the connections through the generations with the Irish at home has been extraordinary. And what I like about this fest is it's a fantastic mix of Irish America going back 3, 4, 5 generations, or people who have even less tenuous connections than that. And on the other hand, you have the present generation of Irish and Galway people here. So congratulations to the organisers of IrishFest. You do an absolutely fantastic job. Can I say, Alderman Murphy, I know you were in Ireland last week, but you know what happened to him? It was an utter disgrace. He went down to Kerry and they wouldn't let him out of it. and he never got to Galway. Those Kerry people are so smart. All they're after are the tourist dollars. But the next time you go, head north out of Shannon and don't bother going south at all. And when you get to Connemara, you'll never get out of it again. Isn't that right, John? We'll make sure you say. I would like to just finally say it's great to be here, and I'd also like to recognise the contribution made by the Mayor, Tom Barrett, over the years. Can I say it's great to be here with my constituency colleague and to see him as a minister representing Ireland here today, and he's doing a fine job, and I'd like to just say it's my privilege to be here with you here today, Sean.
Well, Eamon is right. I was in Ireland last 2 weeks ago, and we were visiting my relatives in Dublin, and then we went to Kerry, and I have to say, although we didn't get to Galway, and I feel terribly guilty about that, I am Irish Catholic, the reality is my wife did raise the GDP at least 2 percentage points. So our next speaker is Jim Shannon, who's been a returning member coming to IrishFest, and we're very honored to have him here also. And it's interesting, a little history about this Common Council, something that many of you don't realize, how this city played a small role in the peace accords. 6 months before the peace accords were signed, we had the Kennan Forum. I think Alderman Bowe may remember this. George Kennan was a very instrumental diplomat in the United States. He played a very big role in terms of the Cold War. And we had a forum here, and we brought in different speakers around the world, whether from Israel, from different parts of South America. And we had an accord small meeting here where David Trimble was speaking along with De Bruin. And at the same time that they were here, we tried to bring the two of them together, and they had very good discussions and very honest discussions, and in many respects we think that helped to play a role in bringing the parties together. And I think it was something that we're very proud of, that Milwaukee may have had some small role in that effort. Jim was, Minister Shannon was elected to the Arts Borough Council in 1985 and has served as mayor in 91 and 92. He was elected as a member of the Northern Ireland Forum for Political Dialogue in 1996 until he completed his work in 1998. He then was subsequently elected to the Northern Ireland Assembly representing Strangford. Within the Assembly, Jim has served on both the Public Accounts Committee and the Agricultural Committee, and he was re-elected in 2003 and 2007, stepping down from the Assembly in 2010, and was elected to the Parliament. So we're very honored to have you here, and please come on up.
Aldermen, councillors, distinguished guests, ministers, ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute pleasure to come along, as it always is, to come to such, first of all, such a beautiful building. Aren't we really pleased to be in such a historical building of such grandeur and beauty as well? In absence of the Mayor, but certainly for Alderman Murphy and other councillors who are here, just want to thank you for your leadership over the last few days in the city of Milwaukee. And Sunday night, my wife said to me when I came home from church, she says, "Jim, Milwaukee's in the news." I says, "Is it for good reasons or bad reasons?" And then she told me what had happened. So over the last few days, the last week, the Mayor, the Aldermen, the councillors, and the Chief of Police have been very ably working in this city to restore order and make sure that those who feel endangered are kept safe. So I think it's only right that we start the proceedings with a thanks to the Council for all the leadership and the guidance they've given over the last few days. Thanks very much. When we think of centenaries, and we think of the Irish centenaries, it may be the case that many of you would immediately think of the 1916 Dublin Easter Rising as is a historical fact and as something that has happened. Too many, particularly in Ulster, where the Scots-Irish heritage would be pronounced, 1916 is remembered for a battle taking place within the confines of legitimate battles taking place in the trenches of World War I on the European continent. And I say we have Carol Walker here from the Somme Centre, and just on the edge of my constituency. I think we're just inside my constituency. It's nice to see you here, Carol. And also a special thanks to those from the East Antrim Council for coming as well. We've not people from the Causeway Coast, but people from the National Trust. So we have a good contingent from Northern Ireland here this time as well. I speak, of course, of the Battle of the Somme. And I want to briefly enlighten you to the history and the significance of that battle and the events leading up to it. It is an event which is most deeply ingrained in the hearts and the minds of the Ulster Scots and the Scots-Irish people, as they're better known here in the United States of America. And as the diktat of home rule loomed, Ulster men and women organised their resistance. And from 1910, the leadership of the Ulster Unionist Council has been persuading the Dubliner Edward Carson to become their leader. In 1911, he wrote to James Craig that in return for his leadership, he wanted to satisfy himself that the people really meant to resist. And he said, I'm not in for a game of bluff, and unless men are prepared to make great sacrifices, which they clearly understand, the talk of resistance is useless. So under the leadership of famous Lord Carson, amongst many others, Ulster stood up and backed up our defiance with their willingness to fight. And up to 500,000 signed the Ulster Covenant, signaling their intent to resist home rule by all means necessary, and over 100,000 signed up to join the Ulster Volunteers should such means of resistance become necessary. But soon, very soon, a foe beyond our shores would raise its head, and pardon to where the Ulster boys were making the noise in the last few weeks at the Euros, and also the Republic of Ireland were doing it as well. They went off to France 100 years ago to do their bit. Without fear, without reservation, without doubt, with no uncertainty in their conviction, our boys went off to fight for king, country and empire. This is the first time that many had been outside their native land. Lord Kitchener inspected the division on the 27th of July 15, and he later remarked to Carson, your division of Ulstermen is the finest I have ever seen. The most famous battle with regard to the Ulstermen in the 36th Ulster Division, and also the Irish 16th Division, because at that time Ireland was united. And those both north and south as it is now, but as one then, fought in the Battle of the Somme side by side. Many feats of bravery took place from both sides, from those within a nationalist community and those within a unionist community. And on the 1st of July, Captain Wilfred Spender of the Ulster Division's HQ staff after the Battle of the Somme was quoted in the press as saying, it's one of my favourite sayings, I am not an Ulsterman, but yesterday, on the 1st of July, as I followed their amazing attack, I felt I would rather be an Ulsterman than anything else in the world. The Ulster Division has lost more than half the men who attacked, and in doing so has sacrificed itself for the Empire, which has treated them none too well. The much derided Ulster Volunteer Force has won a name which equals any in history. Their devotion, which no doubt has helped the advance elsewhere, deserved the gratitude of the British Empire, and is due to the memory of those brave fellows that their beloved province shall be fairly treated. After the war, King George V paid the following tribute to the 36th Ulster Division. He said, throughout the long years of struggle, the men of Ulster have proved how nobly they fight and die. And former Prime Minister Winston Churchill also remarked, the record of the 36th Ulster Division will be the pride of Ulster. But it's too often forgotten, and this is why I want to say this today, that not only did Ulster men fight in the trenches of France, but then all of Ireland, still within the United Kingdom, men from across Ireland, from all traditions, were fighting alongside each other in those trenches. Today, whilst we may be two different nations, we still fight for good on the world stage, with many Irishmen fighting alongside Ulstermen, Scotsmen and Englishmen across the world. And it's important to remember that this country, this great nation, the United States of America, has been alongside us, and we also alongside you. As many people will know here, from a personal point of view, I served in the part-time Army and the UDR and the Royal Artillery for some 14 and a half years. So one thing that's important to me is service in uniform. And I did say it yesterday, and I think I say it again because it's important to repeat it. Can I thank this nation for their leadership that they give to us all. Thank them also for their sacrifice of their young men and young women across the world for freedom, for liberty, for the opportunity for democracy as well. And we salute their courage and their bravery and their sacrifice. Commemorations took place across the country this year to commemorate that. They happen every year in Northern Ireland. It's a battle incredibly close to the hearts of Ulstermen and Ulster women. And in spite of political risks at home, it's absolutely essential to remember that the Irish divisions, both north and south, as they were then, fought alongside those brave Irishmen who chose to fight the foe on the European continent, fought for liberty and what was right. Today, just as our great nations did a century ago, we face evil threats across the globe, ever mindful that there are many battles taking place where we can do it together. We've won 2 world wars together. We're still an unbowed and unbroken alliance. When terrorists hear that the Americans and the British are coming for them, they quake in their boots. They hate us because they hate our freedom. and they hate our liberty. They hate us because we do not let them get away with their evil deeds. So thank you to the political leadership in the United States of America, and thank you for your young men and young women who fight alongside ours. The special relationship between the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland and the United States of America is as essential now as it has ever been. We face terror of the most evil nature, and we face it in every corner of the globe. Let's remember the success of our alliance. Let's resolve that it continues so that we can continue to root out and destroy terrorists wherever they may be lurking. Of course, we're not only linked militarily. The days of empire may be long over, but the bonds between our nations are woven deep, and we still have social and cultural ties as well as economic relationship, which cannot be overstated. Some may have seen our decision to leave the European Union, and I know this has been discussed by some of us in the last few days, but there is definitely, I believe, opportunity in such an arrangement. And one of the opportunities is to have a closer relationship with our natural allies here in the United States of America, better than we ever had before. We can now free to do business with the US, and as we as a nation see fit. We're able to continue to do business with the Republic of Ireland in a very positive fashion, and that's how that will work and work to our benefit. So we're very pleased to have the Republic of Ireland as a neighbour, an ally, economically, physically, emotionally, and in many cases spiritually as well. Since the decision, we have already seen the first orders of British beef from the US this century. We've also seen more investment in the United States than any other country, even your closest neighbours. We in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland invested just short of $500 billion last year, 90 billion more than the next largest investor, Japan, and just short of 200 billion more than Canada. So we in the United Kingdom of Great Britain are very much strong economic allies with yourselves. We receive a lot of benefit from our relationship with the US. It's a relationship that is not mutually beneficial and can only be strengthened in the future. Can I thank Alderman Murphy very much for his kind comments as well in relation to the peace process. I wasn't aware that this city, this wonderful city of Milwaukee, which we're very pleased to be in, had a part to play in the peace process. We're in a much better peace process today, and we've been for many years. We have a relationship between Sinn Féin and the DUP, the party that I represent, on a much better basis than we've had in the past. We have. It doesn't mean that we're any less of a unionist or any less of a nationalist, but the difference is we can respect each other, their culture, and what that means. And politically, we can work together for the betterment of all. So, as Alderman Murphy says, the role that you played in that is one that we're indebted to you very much for. In conclusion, we in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland do not underestimate the importance of our relationship with the United States of America, or indeed with the Republic of Ireland. And as a Member of Parliament, I'll always do what I can to stand up for its importance in the future. It's a pleasure, Alderman Murphy, to be here at IrishFest, to enjoy the history, the verse, the poetry, the music, the dance, and all the fun that's very much IrishFest. And myself as an Ulster Scot, I'm very, very pleased to come along and be part of that. I'm going to say a very special thanks to Colin Kennedy. You'll probably tell me off for doing it, but I'm going to say, Colin, thank you very much for all that you do. You're our contact when it comes to organising things, and we know that the Ward family and all those around you make it happen. Thank you so much. The friendship that 36 years have created and shaped, today 3 nations stand shoulder to shoulder: the United States of America, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and the Republic of Ireland. Long may that relationship last and blossom. Thank you very much. Could I just present a wee plaque to the Alderman Murphy on behalf of. These are just new plaques. I think the paint's still wet on them, by the way. Ards and North Down Council have produced their plaques. They're quite beautiful. I think they are anyway, but then maybe I'm a wee bit biased. But we've got a lot of history in that there. There's a lot of Ulster Scots history, and there's the families of the Hamiltons and Montgomerys, the Erskines, and this is the new plaque. So you've got one of the first people, I understand, Alderman Murphy, to have this. I think I even got them out before the Mayor got them out and back home. So just to leave that with you, if I could. Please, and lovely to see you. And I've also brought you along. I bought these in our shop the other day, and I thought these would be special golf balls. I think you play a game of golf, don't you, as well? Well done. Good to see you. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Jim. Our next speaker is someone who's very familiar with Milwaukee. He lives quite close, next door, in Chicago. And Billy Lawless, and he's the current Irish senator, and he's the first Irish senator who's elected from overseas as of May of this year, and was appointed to the second errand. In 1998, he immigrated to the United States, and he's a Chicago business owner and restaurateur. He's a board member, co-founder of the Illinois Business Immigration Coalition, and chair of the Chicago Cells for Immigration Reform. He's a former member of the 1980s. He was chair of the Fine Gael and Galway West constituency and representing in that area. So we're very, very pleased to have Billy Lawless here. Billy?
Thank you very much, Alderman Murphy and fellow councillors here, and of course my esteemed politicians here on my right-hand side, much more experience than I am, I can tell you. It's an extreme honour to be here, firstly, and I'm so obvious at such a great time in Milwaukee and how they've carried on the Irish tradition here over the last 30-odd years, which is a credit to you, one of the greatest festivals, Irish festivals in the world. It's really an incredible honour that finally the Irish government has recognised the Irish abroad. And they've been talking about it for a long time. And this year I have been honoured to be the first Irish citizen abroad to be appointed to the upper house in the Irish Parliament, the Irish Seanad or the Irish Senate. I don't think that the people of Ireland realise what an incredible honour it is for us immigrants here in the United States that they have bestowed upon me and on them, of course. When I came here in 1998, I opened an Irish theme pub in Wrigleyville called the Irish Oak, and at the time the economy, Alderman, was booming at the time, if you recall. There were a lot of young Irish construction workers over in Chicago especially. And I recall one day coming back to my pub, the Irish Oak, and there were about 13 or 15 white construction vans in the car park in for lunch. When I went in there, we got talking about their work and what they were doing. Not one of them had a driver's license. And I said, this is serious stuff, so it is. You know, driving around with no driver's license, which means that no insurance. So they asked me, would I represent them? And I said, of course I would. So that started my involvement with the Irish undocumented here in the United States. And when I started probing how we could go about getting driver's licenses for them, I found we were a very small group, you know, I'd say about 5,000 if we had that in Chicago. We have 50,000 undocumented Irish in the United States. So I looked towards the Hispanic groups, and I joined up with the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights, which encompasses 140 organizations, Hispanics, Asian, European, Irish. And that's really where it started. But just to finish the story about, we started lobbying about the driver's licenses. And the only way we could get it, we had the Democrats, of course, in Illinois, but we needed Republican bipartisan support. And I made it my number one aim to get Republicans to deal with this. And 12 years later, 2 years ago, on the 1st of January, we finally got the driver's license bill passed in Illinois with the help of Tom Cross and Christina Donio from the Republican Party who delivered the votes for us. So since January 14, 250,000 undocumented drivers in Illinois have been tested and passed their licenses and passed their test and have been granted licenses. And we put a proviso in with that the car they were driving got to be insured, which means it was a win-win for all citizens that they were covered. So that's the kind of bipartisanship stuff that we're doing in Illinois, and our model now is being used nationwide. Other states are using it, and Facebook are financing us to set up models, Alderman, in other states around the country with bipartisan support. And last week in Chicago, we had the IBEC. I was one of the founder members of the Illinois Business Immigration Coalition to get Republican, like-minded Democrats like myself that think the same way about immigration reform. We know it needs to be done. And we have 90% of the Republican legislators, congressmen, and Senator Kirk in Illinois in support of immigration reform, which is an incredible achievement. They've come out publicly with us. So that's the type of work that we've been doing. And, you know, when I look back at the tragedy, we've been so close and so many times on getting immigration reform passed. You know, in fairness to President Bush, we were on the doorstep of the Senate and it faltered. And 4 years ago, we got a bipartisan Senate bill passed that actually gave us 10,500 visas in perpetuity for Ireland. So we slipped in under the radar, and funnily enough, nobody objected to it. But of course, Speaker Boehner would not bring it to the House of Representatives, where we had the votes. It was a terrible, terrible tragedy. And I met, funny, that time, just before the Senate bill passed, your own Congressman Paul Ryan at the time came down to Chicago with Luis Gutierrez, our Democrat, who was our champion in immigration reform, and was speaking publicly, and he is so pro-immigration reform. And when I met him this year at the St. Patrick's festivities in DC, he was speaker, and we met each other, and he said, "Holder, I know what you're going to say to me. Why didn't I stand up?" I said, "You should have stood up to the far right wing," I said, "because you do stand for immigration reform." He said, "I do," he said. So, you know, I have still great faith. We've had terrible disappointments. I believe after this election that he will, I think that he will still be Speaker of the House, but I think that he will bring in piecemeal immigration reform. Because you can't believe the terrible burden of all the undocumented in this country, whether they're Irish or Hispanic or Asian or whatever. You know, when they're one of the tragic things, and I've been doing a lot of lately, we go into our Skype funerals, where the father or mother of the undocumented Irish man or woman is being buried, and we all go into a room and we look at the funeral by Skype. So it's a very, very tough thing, so it is. And I know so many personal stories of young people whose parents have died or are dying, and they just cannot go home. And a lot of these people, these young men and women are married now, and they have sons and daughters. And of course, President Obama, in November 14, issued his executive action, and 25 states brought him to court, and it went to court, and just a month ago, as you know, it was 4-4 in the Supreme Court, which meant the ruling of the lower court was upheld. So that would have meant that the parents of children born here would be able to get a work visa. So it's a really tough situation. But I have great faith in your own Speaker of the House from this state that he will bring it forward next year. And that's kind of just a general overlook view of what we're doing. But I do want to say to my esteemed colleagues here, the honour it is for me and for us Irish that we have a voice, and a strong voice now in the Irish Senate. Thank you very much, Alderman.
Well, and thank you for your leadership on the immigration reform. It's certainly one in our City Council is strongly supported over the many years here in Milwaukee. As you may know, we have a very strong Latino population in our city, and has added great value to our community. And we feel very strongly that there needs to be a system in place that will be fair and treat people equitably and humanely. This country was built on immigration. People in this country may forget that they all come from somewhere else. They were not born here originally, with the exception of the Native Americans. I do want to recognize someone who's played a very important role for the Irish community in a very just short time. She spent a number of days here in Milwaukee, and I want to recognize the General Counsel from Chicago. I want to thank you for, she's been a great representative of your government. She's really reached out to a lot of people in this city, and she's made a great impression, and so we're very fortunate to be here. So thank you. I want to recognize the next speaker, and that is the Mayor of Galway City, Noel Larkin. Noel is a very successful businessman and entrepreneur, and he has served as the Managing Director of Larkin Engineering, which he established in 1985. He first arrived in Galway as an apprentice at the age of 17, and he became a member of the Galway City Council 2 years ago, and just this June he was chosen unanimously as mayor. I'm surprised they haven't ever drafted Keith Finnegan into that position yet. Keith, I want to also recognize, Keith has been a longtime friend of the city. Obviously, he's a famous radio personality in Galway Bay FM radio, and we're thrilled to have him here also. But let's give a warm round of applause to the new mayor of Galway City and our twinning city, Noel Larkin.
Alderman Murphy, Minister Sean Kine, Deputy O'Queeve, Senator Billy Lawless, MP Jim Shanahan, councillors, Councillor Orla, Bishop, Reverend Father. I think I've everybody covered. You're all very welcome here today. Alderman, and in his absence, Mayor Tom, we'd like to thank you for an opportunity here for me to speak on behalf of our Galway delegation. It's an honour to be here to speak and express our opinions in this wonderful chamber. Maybe sometime when you visit Galway we will bring you to our chamber, but it's not as an impressive setup as here, however, it suffices. As we know, this week is the Irish Fest, and that doesn't happen by accident. Our President and members of the committee are here today. A lot of hard work goes into this to bring the festival together. Colleen visited our city in Galway earlier this year to make sure that support was there, and I'm sure that the rest of the counties in Ireland were visited as well. So with 4,000 volunteers bringing the fest together, it is guaranteed to be a success, and we wish you well and for this year and for future years. I'd like to pay tribute to our own Keith Finnegan, who has been coming here for the last 21 years, and each year he leads a delegate out here, and this is my first year here, but Keith has been coming for 21 years, and he's have numerous mayors and dignitaries visiting Milwaukee. But not only does he come here himself, but he promotes it on his own radio station, our local Galway Bay FM, to make sure that this festival continues to be a success. So to Keith and Joan and Katie, thank you for making this happen, and thank you for having us here again this year. There's been a lot of talk about 2016 here, and indeed it is a proud moment in our history. It led to the foundation of our state, and we had a lot of bad years during the 70s, 80s and 90s, but thankfully peace has descended on our country, and long may it last for us. If I may indulge with you for a few moments and promote our city of Galway, our county of Galway and our region in the west of Ireland. Galway has been fortunate this year. They've won a couple of major European awards. I say couple, that's an Irish statement. We won 3, if I may. The major one we won was our 2020, our European Capital of Culture, and I'll speak about that in a moment. But we've won the European Gastronomy Award for 2017, which is a recognition of foods produced in Ireland. And for that year, we're going to have a melee of food festivals throughout Ireland, and we would like to spread the word to the United States to come and visit our culinary delights. We won the European Green Leaf Award for 2018. It's an environmental award, and it's a recognition from Europe that we are trying to do our best for the environment. And I think everybody knows with climate change and that every city and every region needs to do their best to try and control the amount of emissions. We're bidding for the European Youth Award in 2019, So we're hoping to be successful in that. But on to 2020 then, we have a couple of years to prepare for that. That's going to be a major year for Galway City and County, and indeed for the whole Western Seaboard. It's going to be, there's going to be many festivals on, as if Galway hadn't got enough of festivals already. It's known as the City of Festivals. So with our Arts Festival, our Fringe Festival, our Music Festivals, our Film Flares, our Galway Races, our Oyster Festivals, maybe that's why the 2020 has come to us, because we are the region, and we're going to have many festivals. So I'm inviting everybody from Milwaukee to come to Ireland, visit our city and county, visit our region, and bring a few million visitors from America with you as well, if you can. We have our stand down here in the Milwaukee Festival. Come and visit us there today. There'll be somebody on it most of the time anyway. So I thought it was very appropriate this morning when you could hear the rain outside. I thought it was fireworks that was laid on for us, but it happened to be some thunder and lightning. We've met a group from Fermanagh, Nova Scotia here this morning as well, so you're welcome here. We look forward to seeing you on the stand. So to the Chamber and to the Festival President Committee, thank you for having us here. We look forward to enjoying our few days here on my behalf and on behalf of the Galway contingent here with us today. Thank you very much.
I wonder if Megan O'Connor could join us. We have a number of gifts that we'd like to present from the mayor's office. So she had to take off? Okay. Yeah, Terry McDonald from our office who helped put the event together. I want to thank her. So. This is going to add a lot of weight to your baggage, though. I'm sorry. This is just a photo of our lakefront. It was taken by one of our staff members who wanted to present it to the mayor of Galway. So.
Just have a couple of presentations. They're wrapped, so I'm not sure what's in them, but to the mayor in his absence, to be able to yourself, Alderman, as well.
Very much, thank you.
And this is a 1916 commemorative pin as well, and to the other Alderman.
Yes, thank you
right?
very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it very
Thank
much.
you.
Well, in conclusion, I want to thank all of you for coming this morning. I want to thank all our dignitaries for being here and for your inspirational talks and the continuing relationship we have with Ireland and IrishFest and our twinning with Galway. I see great future for both our countries. It's been a tough time for all our countries with the deep recession who's affected many of our citizens. But I think we see a very bright future for both our countries going forward. And I think our special relationship will continue only getting stronger. So thank you all very much. We have food and refreshments outside. Please take advantage of them. And thank you for coming.